Hello, everyone, and welcome to Backchat. Welcome to Yogaberry, your yoga for scoliosis community. I can see some of you already waiting and tuning in, which is great. I'm assuming that's because of this topic might be of interest, because today we're going to be talking about daily living activities. So if you are here, make sure to come and say hello to, there's Tatiana already saying good morning, hello. Make sure to ask your questions, and if there are any, I just called it daily living activities, right? But maybe there is something specific that you might want to ask about. So feel free to do that. Feel free to use the chat today to ask any of your questions. It's an open Q&A session. For the next couple of weeks, I will have interview guests again. So make sure you take advantage of this as well. Yes. Let me know where you are. Liz is saying hello from West Yorkshire. Hi, Liz. What's the weather like where you are? It's really, really hot in London, which doesn't happen very often. So I'm not going to complain at all. I'm delighted. But it feels like it's going to rain very soon again. What a surprise. And yes, we had a lovely yoga session right now. Some of you know that I've got a new Wednesday Yoga for Scoliosis class, which I'm very, very much enjoying. Today was all about core work, so that was good. I did let them off easily because it was so hot, but I know that you are all in different time zones, obviously, so might be different where you are, of course. Good. Lovely. So Tatiana is going straight in. She's saying, when better to do yoga, morning or evening? Right. What do you think? I don't know. I like both of them. How about morning and evening? It's different, I think. I think my practice, if I practice in the morning, is going to look very different from practicing in the evening. And usually, to be honest, because I've got 2 small children, I do not have time in the morning. But remember, life without kids and in the morning would have been more of a kind of let's get going and a little bit more movement, and from being in a funny sleeping position usually, and we'll talk about that obviously, just kind of getting the muscles to wake up, getting all the joints to wake up, just like an overall movement. It's going to be a little bit more energetic in the morning than it would be in the evening. So in the evening, my practice is usually more about kind of resetting, restoring, and then getting ready for bed. So I like both. I can't say if one is better than the other. But obviously with scoliosis, we know that, well, not moving isn't great. So sleeping, we do have to do it, obviously, and it's very important that we sleep. But we are in one position for a long period of time. So it is good to kind of have a little bit of movement practice in the morning. Equally, gravity is also not kind to us usually. If we are in a kind of an upright position and there is quite a big structural imbalance, then the effects that gravity can have on the body, again, you might want to reset. So different reasons, but I do like both of them. Good, lovely. Robin is saying good morning from New Jersey, USA. Hello. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I didn't introduce myself, have I? But I think most of you know me. If you are completely new to me, my name is Christine Jaureguiberry, and this back chat is happening every Wednesday. Sometimes it's just me and I'm answering questions. Sometimes I've got interview guests. So next week I've got Deborah Woke, for example. Woke. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She would tell me. I'm sure she's a fabulous yoga teacher, a younger yoga teacher, very experienced. She's also one of Elise Browning Miller's students. And she is going to be talking to me next week about the organ system. And then the week after, I've got someone from Scoliosis Association UK, which is very exciting. Because June, did you know it's Scoliosis Awareness Month? So make sure to spread awareness of the condition. It's really, really important. What is important, I think, to spread awareness of is that this is something that that we can manage. And it's something that if we detect it early enough, we can change, especially in children. I'm talking about children here, especially. Sometimes it's left too late, and then unfortunately we've kind of missed a window of opportunity. So it's really, really important to for young people to notice, or for mothers really and fathers to notice the signs of scoliosis in young people, because then we can make a difference and we can change something. So there we go. It's all about spreading awareness this month. I'm actually planning a new yoga and fitness challenge over on Instagram. Some of you have been doing them already with me. And this one is in collaboration with Caroline Friedman, who is a personal trainer. And then we've got Emily Hale, who was on the podcast not too long ago. She's a Pilates teacher. So we're combining forces, and we're going to do kind of a yoga Pilates strength training yoga challenge for you. We're going to do daily fitness prompts for you for a week. So find me on Instagram, yogaberry.scoliosis, if you want to join into that. So that would be fun. It's not just me, you're getting other opinions as well, and you're getting a little bit of a variety of exercises that you can do. And both Emily and Caroline have got spinal fusion as well. So it's going to be spinal fusion friendly. Lovely. Laura is saying hello. Hi again. Hi, Laura. Thank you so much. Laura has been in my class earlier on. We had a lot of fun. Well, I had fun. I'm hoping she did as well. But yes, I'm really enjoying that. Good. So today we are talking about daily living activities. And there were a couple already mentioned in the Facebook group, so I'm going to tell you in a moment what they were. But tell me, what do you want to start with? So I'm going to see what comes up here for you. What is kind of, so when I talk about daily living activities, it's basically off the mat, right? Off your yoga. If you're not in your yoga practice, what is the activity that you do the most of during your day that could have an effect on your scoliosis and your posture? Because guess what? Even if you've done an hour of yoga practice, great. But what have you been doing for 23 hours for the rest of the day? Lovely. Laura saying we had a lot of, we had fun on a lot of strengthening work. Yes, we did some core work, didn't we? It was good. I did enjoy myself. Good. Shamala is saying, that's a long message. I'm going to read it. When sitting for a long time without a backrest, playing the piano. Great, lovely. Is it a good idea to sit on something to raise the left side of the body for a right thoracic, left lumbar curve? That's a really, really good question. And I like that you're saying playing the piano and not just sitting at your desk, right? Because that's obviously going to come up as well. And we'll talk about that as well. There are some similarities, obviously, with playing the piano, but you know what you cannot do, obviously. Well, we have a piano and we play piano at home. At least what I cannot do with my piano is change the height of it, right? So the height is what it is. I can obviously adjust I cannot actually adjust my chair, so I've got a piano stool, but a lot of them obviously you can either lower or you can bring them up. So obviously you want to make sure you're at the right height for your play. And obviously if you are playing the piano, you know what that means for you. In terms of should you lift one side or the other, so this is another one of these things where I've kind of changed my mind over the years. So I did used to teach that, because very often if you have especially a left lumbar curvature, you're sinking over to the left, so you might feel like your left sitting bones, your left side is a little bit heavier, in which case I always said, raise that left side up. And I've just recently done a course with the ladies from the SSOL for spine and scoliosis online learning. They are all Schroth therapists as well. They're really, really great specialists. And they were saying, no, don't do that. So don't change anything there, because you're bringing in a different element of asymmetry, actually, if you do this. So they much prefer you to use your muscles. However, this is not very practical if you're focusing on something else, right? So obviously, if you are playing piano, you're not going to think about your posture so much. So I think it depends. If you have quite an even S-curve and the thoracic is about the same as the lumbar, I wouldn't touch it. I would not change anything. If you have more of one curvature that takes you further onto that side, I would maybe temporarily lift it up just for while you're playing piano, just to bring in a little bit more evenness, really. But yeah, I am a little bit more conservative with this nowadays. I think what is much better to do, and I was actually talking about this again with my physiotherapist, about crossing the legs. Does anyone cross their legs when they're sitting? I do this all the time, because it gives me more stability, right? If I wrap my legs around each other, I have more stability. And again, it kind of brings in another asymmetry, and it brings in another problem. So I nowadays use my yoga belt. And I did post this on Instagram a while ago, but I might have to post this again. And I basically bring it two parts of it around the lower back, and then I loop it around my knees. It's a little bit difficult to explain without showing, and I don't have my yoga strap up here. It's downstairs. But I can post some more pictures on Instagram about this, because it's almost like giving yourself a little mini brace, and just in this lower pelvic section, to make sure that you're not, it really helps to not let you sink over to the side, forwards or backwards. So that's what I would do, Shamala, rather than bringing in another asymmetry. But it kind of depends on your specific case. Good, lovely. So William is saying, hello from California. I was wondering if yoga and daily ab work will have athletes, will help athletes with scoliosis? Help. Oh, yes, he's saying help. Sorry, William. Yes, I think it will, absolutely, and depends on what athlete you are, what's your sport. But generally, yoga is usually quite a good balance to a lot of things that you could do. If you do a lot of strength training, if you do a lot of running, if you play football, then yoga can be a really good balance to balance out whatever else you're doing. Good. So sorry, there's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm just reading through them. We've got Laura saying sitting down is worst of all, isn't it? Yes, it is, isn't it? And it's really, I'm still looking for kind of a better way to position my laptop so I don't have to sit down all the time. I think standing up is so much better than sitting down all the time. So set yourself an alarm. If you have to sit down for long periods of time, set yourself a timer that you get up every half an hour or so. You walk around, you reset, and then you come back to sitting. If you're playing piano, obviously, if you're practicing for long periods of time, again, after a piece, get up, walk around, and then come back to it. Because the worst thing is to kind of get stuck in this position and not letting the body a chance to reset. Good. Robin is saying, agree with Shamala. Sitting is very difficult with or without backrest, right lumbar curve for me. Yes. So I would, again, I would try this little trick with making yourself a little brace with a yoga belt that you tie around the lower back and then around the knees to give yourself a little bit more stability. I think that's been really, really useful for me. Lovely. Tatiana is saying, my job is cooking. Oh, I didn't realize you were a chef. I stand all day with bending head forward. I don't think it's good. Any posture that we are in for long periods of time is not a good posture, whatever that might be, right? So again, the key is to, if you have to be in that position, come out of that position and then go back into it, right? Rather than being stuck in it for long periods of time. If you have to bend forwards quite a lot, can you look at the work surface? Maybe you can have something a little bit higher, when you do your chopping, for example. Make sure you don't have to kind of bend over so much. Can you elevate it at all? Can you bring it up a little bit higher so you don't have to do that? And again, resetting obviously as much as possible. I've seen people having the legs a little bit wider. Now, I don't know how this is in the kitchen with health and safety, if it's slippery or anything, but just so that, again, that you don't have to round down so much when you do your chopping. And then again, think about, what can you do that will complement or that will kind of balance out whatever you've been doing there. So for example, Tatiana, if I hear this from you, you're a chef, you're in the kitchen, you're in this position for long periods of time, you're in your feet. When I would give you some, if you came to me for one-to-one yoga sessions, I would not have you doing loads of forward bends, basically, right? I would probably give you something else to kind of reset, to get you out of that posture again, and maybe working on the shoulders a little bit more, opening kind of that heart area, working on lengthening. Just something, maybe, strengthening the legs, obviously, as well, because you need them to support you. But then probably also raise the legs at the end of the day, Viparita Karani, resting the legs against the wall, reversing all the effects that gravity has on the body. And one of the best things, in my opinion, that you can do is just lie flat on the ground at the end of the day with your back. So your back muscles can, in a productive way, settle into the ground. Good. Robin is saying, I either sit with crossed legs or one leg underneath me. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yes, I can relate to this as well. And what I used to do a lot is bring the knees up. So I'm sitting here on this chair here, right? Oops. There's my camera going. I was going to show you how I'm sitting here. So I would sit with my knees up like that. Now, that is really bad as well, right? Especially for long periods of time. But these are kind of alarm signals for me. This kind of means that there is obviously some sort of stability lacking, and we're compensating. We're using our legs to find that stability in some way. So it's really good to notice, if you're bending one knee in, or if you're sitting on one leg, is it always the same leg? You know, what are your habits? What are your kind of default collapsing, I call them collapsing positions, basically being exhausted because your muscles are exhausted from trying to kind of defy gravity and from keeping you upright, even though your spine is actually taking you over to one side. Your muscles have to work a little bit harder. So when you collapse, when you're exhausted, what's your default position? Can you maybe give yourself support that you rest differently? And this is my, so we've talked about sitting obviously already. You know, relaxing is another one, right? How do you sit when you're sitting on your sofa, or how do you kind of lounge down? Are you going into your curvature, or maybe you can rest the opposite way? Lovely. So Laura saying, sitting down for long periods without a possibility of getting up and elongate a bit is the worst of all. Yes, exactly. Definitely. So it's really, and sometimes we just forget, but sometimes obviously we do not have the opportunity. Shamala is saying, thank you for your answer and thank you for all your videos. You're welcome. I hope that was helpful. Robin is saying, I've recently started having trouble riding my bike too. Any tips? Okay, well, tell me what exactly the trouble has been. So what I see a lot, depending on what type of bike you've got, if you have like one of those racing bikes and the handle is quite low, and the seat is almost higher than your handle, what I see a lot is that people really round into the lower back, and that can cause all sorts of problems. And you know, if you do this for long periods of time and you've got some weakness already in that area, you know, bulging disc problems is, you know, very common. So I would kind of look at the way that you're sitting on the bike. It's not so cool, but having the handle up a little bit higher might be an option, right? To kind of find a little bit more length in your lumbar spine, rather than going into full-on kind of flexion in this area. So that would be my comments about riding a bike. Good. William is saying, I've been playing rugby for the last 6 years, so my spine and me don't always back each other on that. Okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah, make sure that you find something to complement your rugby playing, right? And you talked about building up strength and ab strength. I call it core strength, because it's not so much the six-pack abs, which obviously look great and we all want them, right? But it's really the underneath layers, the deep core muscles that support the spine, that are really important. And a lot of times what I see, especially with some, well, depending on what they do, athletes or people that go to the gym, they work on the abs and all of that, and that looks great. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have core strength or core stability. So breathing exercises kind of goes with that. It's really important to have that support from this cylinder, this section of the lower body that gives you that support for your spine at the end of the day. So don't think just abs, but it's all around this area. Good. Drita is saying, do you think the spine can be fixed if someone has a scoliosis S 30 degrees? Now, I do not like I don't like the term fixing the spine, because I don't believe that we have broken spines in any way, or that there is something to fix. So let's just establish this first of all. Your spine might have a curvature. It doesn't mean that you're going to have pain. It doesn't mean that you're broken in any way. It doesn't mean that, you're necessarily going to have any problems, right? There are plenty of examples. There are plenty of people who have got curvy spines. Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world, has got quite a severe scoliosis. I think he wants to be fixed in any way of his spine. There are plenty of other athletes that have scoliosis and they function very, very well. So let's just get this out of the way first before we talk about this. In terms of, I'm just going to rephrase it slightly. Can we reduce the curvature of 30 degrees in someone? Again, this depends on the age. So if the person is still growing, there is a little bit more chance to kind of correct it on the way while they're growing. If you're not growing anymore, the actual bones, in my opinion, I don't think you can change them, but there is always a postural component to scoliosis. So basically the bones are shaped this way. They are taking you over there. Then the muscles contract more on one side than the other, taking you further into scoliosis, It's like a vicious cycle, basically. And that's where we can help, and we can, with exercise, where we can make a difference. Good. Tatiana, sorry, Christine, last chat. I was asking you to watch Hannah Grace Fitzgerald YouTube videos for scoliosis. What do you think about it? I've literally watched one of her videos and literally just the beginning. So I can't quite judge it yet. So she obviously it sounds like she's got scoliosis herself. I haven't made up my opinion yet, but she seems lovely and her videos are really, really good quality as well, right? So I'm a little bit jealous, basically. She looks great. So yes, I would have to watch a little bit more. Maybe you can send me a link of one of the videos that you might be having questions about, and if that makes sense. Good. Let me get back to my chat here. So we've got Grayscale. What type of mattress do you recommend for optimal support? So let's talk about sleeping. Thank you so much. Sleeping mattresses. Good quality mattress is all I can say about this, really, because there are so many different mattresses around there. I've got a combination of memory foam and springs, so that works for me at the moment. I personally think a little bit of a harder mattress is usually better for scoliosis, because again, if it's too soft, you're just going to sink into your curvature and you're just going to kind of sink into it. You don't have a lot of support. So I prefer a little bit firmer mattresses. Make sure you try it out, obviously, in the shop, but there's no like specific brand or anything that I would recommend. What I can say, if you want to kind of talk about which position to sleep in, I've got a video about this. Lying on your back is great, because then you don't have the problem with the left and right. However, that's not the most comfortable position for most people. For some people as well, they might have to raise the legs when they're lying on the back. Lying on the side is another good option. What I would not recommend is lying on the tummy, lying on the belly, because then you're bringing in some sort of awkward back bend twist, which is just not great to be in for a long period of time. If you sleep on your side, I would recommend to sleep on the concave side of your lumbar curve, especially if you've got a double curve. If you've got an S-curve scoliosis, sleep on the concave side of your lumbar curve. And if you are sleeping on the other side, consider supporting the waist a little bit with a rolled up towel or something like that, or another cushion. So again, that you're not sinking into the mattress too much. Good. Right. Robin is saying this is about the bike again. I have a cruising bike, so I can sit up straight, but even after an easy ride, my right hip seizes up and my psoas muscles hurt for days. Happens over 1 month ago, and I'm still in pain. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's not nice, is it? And yes, so you haven't told me about your scoliosis, I think, have you? So if you have a lumbar scoliosis, depending on how large the curve is and depending on how much imbalance there is, obviously the hip flexors and the psoas muscle can be affected and will be, they will work asymmetrically. So if you then take your asymmetry and you go on a bike, right, and you pedal along for a long, long time, working those hip flexors in an asymmetric way, because the asymmetry is not going away, it's already there in your body, that can come out differently on one side to the other, of course. So yeah, I would look at, maybe some exercises to balance this out, and maybe some work to release and soften the hip flexors, a little bit of kind of lengthening, to find that little bit of balance. But really, again, really important to have that core support even in when you're on the bike. Lovely. Robin is saying your videos and Pilates has really helped ease my stiffness. So thank you very much. Yoga, not Pilates. No, sorry, you're talking about other Pilates, of course. And I just want to say as well that I think it's really, really good to mix things up. So even though I've just, said yoga, it's a good idea to change the activities that you're doing. And in a way, I do like yoga because there's such a big variety of movements, but I do mix it up. I do Pilates, I do, some strength training and things like that. Make sure you do a variety of movements rather than always sticking to the same thing. Lovely. William is saying, thank you for the help, by the way, most informative on YouTube on a topic that needs more attention. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I think it's important that we talk about this. And I did have, got some nasty comments this week on YouTube saying, you're not a doctor. Why are you talking about this? And at first it was like, yeah, maybe they're right. It's true. I'm not a doctor. I'm a yoga teacher. But you know what? I think it is important that we share what we know. And, in a way, I know my body. I know my clients. I've been working with people that have scoliosis for a long time. I've seen hundreds of people. So there are things that I can share, right? And I want to share them. And I think it's important that we all share what we know and what our experiences are, even if we are maybe not doctors and medical professionals. And to be honest, I've met a lot of doctors and medical professionals that don't know anything about scoliosis or don't know much about scoliosis, and they don't know what it's like living with it or, moving with it or practicing yoga with it. So that's what I have to say about this. I will not stop basically sharing what I'm sharing. And you all know that I'm not pretending to be a doctor or a know-it-all. You know that I'm also learning and that I'm sharing what I'm learning on the way, on the journey as well. And always, you know, talking to different people, making sure we're getting different opinions, not just one, and then kind of going, kind of getting a one-sided idea. Lovely. Robin is saying, keep sharing your knowledge, Christine. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that as well. And I appreciate you all turning up every week. Make sure you come next week when I'm talking with Deborah about the organ system. I'm quite excited about that, to see what she's got to share. And then we'll talk. We've got a lady from Scoliosis Association who has had spinal fusion, and she's going to talk about her journey and all the amazing activities that they do for scoliosis awareness as well. And Liz is saying, I totally agree with you regarding knowledge of doctors. Yes, you know, it's one of these things. So yeah, I hope that this was useful. Let me just quickly, oh, sorry, I nearly forgot. Don't go anywhere. So we talked about sleeping. We talked about sitting. I didn't talk about carrying, and I didn't talk about housework, right? Because Trudy asked me this. So carrying, just make sure you've got equal support, obviously, on your shoulders. That's really important, that you're not kind of one-sided. And then Trudy was especially asking about vacuum cleaning, hoovering, as we call it. Again, where you're bending over, and Tatiana was earlier on, she was talking about this for working in the kitchen. So hoovering in a way is kind of a similar position, except for now you're also using one arm the whole time. So my advice there would be, use your legs first of all. So make sure you're not just your straight legs and then rounding your back and then reaching your arm forward, bending from the hips, making sure that there is a neutral curve in your lumbar spine. And then maybe practice hoovering with the other side, right? It might not work so well. You might not be so efficient. But this is really good for the brain as well. So, you know, activities, changing it up for being very right-handed. For example, I'm right-handed. I very often try and do things with my left hand. Doesn't mean I'm very good at it. And I'm also, you know, it's not the most efficient way. But you're building some new connections with your brain, and you're also using your body in a slightly different way. Lovely. Tatiana says, please never stop. I would cry. So inspiring. I don't feel any more alone. Thank you. And then we've got Robin saying, especially like how your name fits into your yoga passion. Thank you so much. Yes, and Jaureguiberry, you know, comes from my surname, Jaureguiberry, which is a nightmare name to spell at the doctor's surgery or anywhere else, and nobody can ever pronounce it. So Jaureguiberry is much easier, of course. Good, guys. So I hope that this was useful. Join me next week. And yes, I hope you have a lovely day. And yeah, all the best. Bye.